Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of DudeWutPodcast. My name's Harry Dowling, and today I am joined with my very good friend. It's Mr. Adam Grizzly Bear Homer. How the hell you doing, bro?
Yeah, good man, really good. Again, good to be back on. It's been a while again.
Yeah, defo.
But looking forward to this episode.
Yeah, man. So what have you been up to? I know this morning you were taking Moose to the vets.
Yeah, so it's been a interesting sort of week or two since I last sort of saw you. Moose has had his balls off.
Oh yeah, the old snip.
The old snip. So he's not been too impressed with me, but he's come through the other end now. He's had his stitches out this morning.
Good.
So he's relieved, and apart from that, we've laid some laminate flooring in the house.
Nice.
Which was stressful.
Yeah.
Did it ourselves. So it's
a
bit of a
play.
job. Yeah, but it looks alright.
Yeah. That's all that matters, really.
Yeah, but yeah, been busy. What about you?
Sort of the same. I mean, since I've seen you last, a lot of work, as always. But as I was saying, just before we started recording this, me and Fee have actually, and Zeph have actually sort of just come back from a little trip away.
Yeah.
We went to a sort of holiday cottage not far from Tavistock in Devon. It was one of Fee's sister's 30th, so the family had sort of planned this big, everyone stay in a big country house kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it was really nice. It was a nice place. It had a hot tub. It had a pool. It had all this stuff.
How was the weather?
Pretty good, man.
Yeah, it was amazing
pretty
here.
good. It was, I think, in the UK over the last weekend. It was definitely a sort of a mini heat wave sort of situation.
Massively.
But no, it was really good. A couple things were a little bit sort of awkward. I mean, the sort of sleeping situation was a bit weird. There's a lot of couples. Fee, as she said before in the pod, she's got a big family. She's got 4 sisters, 3 sisters. There's 4 sisters in total.
Just made a sister up.
Yeah, and a brother, and except for the brother, everyone's got couples, everyone's got a partner, and there were enough beds, but some of the beds were just a single in the bottom of a room with a double kind of thing.
Oh god.
So we sort of opted to sleep on a sofa bed, sort of downstairs out the way. But no, as I was saying, Zeph absolutely loved it. But that many people around, he was just so excited the whole time.
He loved it too much.
Yeah, and there was a couple other dogs there as well. 2 other family dogs, and the cottage that we were in was attached to another holiday cottage, and they had 6 dogs.
Jesus.
Yeah, so there was loads of dogs running around the whole time. And you know how Zeph is when he's play with me, keeps dropping the ball at your feet.
Persistent.
Well, we get past that by taking all the toys away. But you can't exactly go up to another dog and just take its toy away. So
unless you look like an asshole.
Yeah, basically, yeah. So Zeph was, play mode the whole time. He didn't eat, he didn't sleep. So we ended up actually coming back a bit early because he just couldn't hack it anymore.
Yeah, it can be stressful.
And we brought him back. We got back on the Saturday. It's now the Monday. He's been sleeping basically solid the whole time.
Deserves a good rest.
Yeah. But no, it was good. The sun was good. We went on, some little trips out, some nice walks and things. Yeah, it was fun. We're actually going away again fairly soon. We're going sort of back to. No, it's not Devon, sorry. It's sort of South Wales where we're going.
Yeah, I remember you saying.
Taking the dog, so, that'll be interesting.
Yeah, saying about walks, we, obviously the weather was amazing, like you said, over the weekend. We took Moose to one of our old favourite spots, old Tiddesley Woods.
Did you actually?
Yeah.
No way.
And he absolutely loved it. I mean, it was baking hot.
Yeah.
You could tell he was struggling a little bit. So we took him down to the stream, and he just dove straight in the stream.
There.
And he was lying down in the stream, rolling around, and he absolutely loved it. Oh, nice.
So, Tiddesley Wood is a very ancient big woodland, which is just at the top of the sort of village where me and Tomo, Stevie, where a lot of us are from. So it was like our stomping ground when we were kids, like just go up there and mess around, But no, fair play. I went with Zeph and Tomo and Fee, actually, not that long ago. But we thought it was a little bit like, it sort of changed. And
it felt weird.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was very sort of overgrown, so we were stuck on that middle path.
Yeah, that's what I
And
found.
that middle path is really, it's like big rocks, big sharp stones. And Zeph, he likes to jump and slide and stuff. So we were a little bit sort of, wasn't that great?
The thing is, I haven't been there for so long, I could barely remember my way around there anyway. So I just stuck to the main path. And I was like, I know there's a stream around here somewhere.
Yeah, it's like you got to go up and then you got to go all the way down to the right, don't you? Yeah. Yeah, I used to hang around there, man. That was great times.
Yeah, good times.
So it's a Monday. We always record these on a Monday. It comes out on a Tuesday. I actually booked the day off work because we were planning on being on this trip for a couple more days. We left early because of Zeph, as I say. So we were planning on being there a little while longer. So I've booked today off, which is working out pretty well because now I can just chill at home.
Yeah.
But at the time of recording this, it's probably like 11 o'clock in the morning right now. So it's pretty early. We usually record these late at night. So because it's so early, we're not going to do a What Are We Drinking today. Or we can, but the answer is literally just a cup of coffee because I'm still on my big cup of coffee.
Now on a Pepsi Max.
Nice. So there's no What Are We Drinking? There's no Hamby, so there's also no Hamby's Hambone to pick, unfortunately. I know how much we all love that segment. So I'm thinking this episode will probably end up being quite a bit shorter than all the other episodes, but that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's good to have a short one in there every now and again.
Yeah, it is.
I think at one point the average length of the episodes was like an hour and 40 at the beginning of the year.
That's mad.
It's long, yeah. But that was like us just chatting and rambling. It just sort of kept going.
It's hard to stop once you start, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's come down to like an hour and 20. Whenever I have you or Hamby on and we're doing like a big chatting point, it's usually like an hour and 20. But I've got a feeling this one's probably going to be about 45 to 50. I say, no What Are We Drinking? No Hamby's Hambone to pick. There is some entertainment news, though, so let's go straight into that and talk a little bit about some entertainment news. Now, Grizzo, you're going to be a little bit disappointed this week.
No Fast and Furious.
There's no Fast and Furious news. Yeah, I have searched. There's just nothing. It's gone a bit quiet on the fast front.
I'm ending this. I'm going.
Yeah. But there is some other news. So, first little bit of news. Dave Bautista, the sort of wrestler turned movie superstar, best known for probably Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, the Drax.
Drax. He was in Blade Runner. He's been in loads of things. He is a good actor, to be fair.
He is good, yeah. He's done really well for himself.
But yeah, he's best known for playing Drax. And through his Instagram, this is sort of later last week, he has confirmed that he is done playing Drax. I'm pretty sure that Guardians Volume 3 has like just filming.
Yeah.
Because I think it was sort of like a wrap photo where they're all there together and he just said, it's been a blast. But goodbye, Drax, I think is what he said in the post. So he's done playing Drax, which is kind of sad because I think Drax is... Well, they're all good characters in the Guardians. It's so well written like that. But it wouldn't be the same without him.
No, he's definitely like an integral part of the team, isn't he?
Yeah.
Even from the comedic relief as well.
Yeah, definitely. So I don't know what they're going to do, whether or not they're just going to sort of change the lineup of the Guardians or move away from that in general. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess it depends what happens in the third film as well, doesn't it? How they play it off.
Yeah, I guess.
And
he could die, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of Marvel films, have you seen Doctor Strange yet?
No, not yet. So I thought he'd bring this up at some point, but I'm hoping to see it in the next week.
Okay, because I had some news from it, but it wasn't important, so I'm gonna leave that out because I don't want to spoil
I
anything for you.
as you would, have completely avoided any spoilers.
Yeah.
I've heard
Yeah.
a couple, people opinions here and there, but I've tried to stay away from it.
I think the general opinion was immediately that it was very, very good, and now as a bit more time's going on, people are sort of like, yeah,
Yeah,
But I would say on the last podcast, I gave it an 8. Fee gave it an 8.5. So
well, that's good. I have heard. My brother said he thought it was a little bit underwhelming.
I think that's fair. Yeah,
Um,
but it's still a good film.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I think after Spider-Man, it's been hyped up more than it would have usually a Doctor Strange film.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I think as well, it's because it's we spoke about it loads in the last podcast. It's because it's a Sam Raimi thing. I think that's
exactly. It's
a lot of the hype is coming from him. But in terms of a Sam Raimi film, it doesn't disappoint.
Yeah.
Like, it's very much. I think I said to Fee after seeing it that it's one of the few MCU films, like Thor Ragnarok, and there's a couple in there that basically it's almost like the director was given so much freedom that it's literally like one of their films.
Yeah.
You can see all of his trademarks, everything like that, in the film. Whereas usually they're a bit more sort of, this has to be like this and this has to be like this.
It's a bit more copy and paste.
Yeah, they gave him a lot of creative freedom, and it's very good as a Sam Raimi film, I would say.
Sweet, I'm looking forward to it a lot.
Yeah, you should check it out, man. And I would, if you're gonna check it out, maybe come over this way and check it out at the giant screen, dude. Because it's if any film is worth seeing in IMAX, it's the Doctor Strange films.
Yeah, absolutely. Visually, they're amazing, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely. All right, so yeah, Batista is done playing Drax. How do you feel about that? I know Drax is, like I say, he's a fan favorite. He's probably a lot of people's favorite member of the Guardians.
Yeah, he is. I mean, you could pick any one of them as your favorite. That's the thing.
Yeah,
they're all so good.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's just where do we go from here, really?
Next little bit of news. So this is actually something that I've never watched. Have you ever seen any of Amazon's Jack Ryan series starring John Krasinski?
No, I've heard it's all right though. I've heard it's decent.
Yeah,
it is something I've always sort of wanted to get around to watch it. Is it on the second season now, or is always 2 seasons out of there?
Is there? I thought there was 3.
I'm not 100% sure. I mean, there might be more because they churned them out pretty quick.
Yeah, they have. So it's basically the series of that character. There's been a lot of films involving the character of Jack Ryan.
Yeah.
There's 2 with Harrison Ford. There's 1 with Ben Affleck. And now they've done this sort of Amazon series with, say, John Krasinski. Yeah, I've never watched it. It sort of looks all right.
It looks all right, yeah. It doesn't stand out as amazing.
Yeah.
But it's got decent reviews.
Yeah, it has got decent reviews, and it's got a decent... it's got like a big fan base.
Yeah.
But it has been confirmed that Jack Ryan is going to end with season 4. Which
Jeez.
I thought was its next season, to be fair. So
it might be. Like I said, I know there's 2 for sure, but
yeah.
I haven't been keeping up to date with it.
So speaking of TV shows that I want to watch that I've never seen, I stayed up real late last night and I ended up watching a lot of Porn Stars.
Okay.
Which is sort of my like when I want to watch TV but I don't actually want to watch TV.
You want background TV, yeah.
Yeah, so I put Porn Stars on because I just find it interesting, I know it's all fake and whatnot, but it's kind of cool seeing some of the stuff that gets brought in. Somebody brought in a tie and some pocket handkerchiefs that were worn by James Gandolfini on The Sopranos.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah, and it came with like a letter saying, this is my tie and everything, signed by him or whatnot. But it got me thinking, like, I'm not that big on crime things. I started watching The Wire, got a bit bored with it. watched a few things like that, got bored with them. But I've never seen The Sopranos, and whenever you look at like top TV shows of all time, The Sopranos is always in the top 10.
I've watched many years ago. I had the box set of Sopranos,
Yeah.
all 6 seasons on DVD, and I think I got to about season 4. And for some reason, I do it with a lot of shows, to be honest.
Yeah.
I just stopped watching it. I don't know why, because it does it quite complicated.
Okay.
There are a lot. I mean, it's a HBO show. There's a lot of characters, like any HBO show. And once you sort of fall behind a little bit and forget where you are, it's hard to sort of recapture where you were in the story. So it's something I want to rewatch as well, to be honest, because it is really good.
Well, they just brought out, well, not just, but there's another movie has come out now.
Yeah, is it like a prequel?
Prequel, yeah. But it actually stars
his son,
his son as him, which is
really cool.
Great casting because he obviously looks exactly the same.
My brother-in-law Ben, he's like a massive Sopranos fan.
Oh yeah,
like absolutely loves the Sopranos, and he can quote it like anything, off the back of his hand.
Okay.
So I've been wanting to watch it for a long time, but there's a lot of other shows I want to watch. Because I'm watching Better Call Saul at the moment.
Oh, are you?
And I don't think you've watched it, have you?
I've never seen any of that. No.
It's really, really good.
Mate, really good. I think maybe 2 podcasts ago, I was talking to, I don't think it was you. I think it was Hamby.
And, it was Hamby, yeah, I remember.
Yeah, and I was, everyone is recommending Better Call Saul, but I've just never I've never watched it. I've never felt like I should watch it. So I was thinking of watching all the Breaking Bads again and then going into Better Call Saul.
Well, I'm nearly season 5 now. So the newest season 6, and they're releasing it like every episode every week.
Okay.
And I think they've released a few so far. And I think this is the final season as well that are releasing. Season 6 is, and I'm nearly on season 5. And the first season, it's just setting the scene, introduce you to new characters, but it gets really good really quick. And so many characters out of Breaking Bad are in it now, and it shows you their origins and how they come into the story and what they were doing before Walt meets them in Breaking Bad, and it's really really good.
Yeah,
that
sounds pretty good. I think I will have to watch it at some point. As I say, it's one of the show. It's probably the show that I am most recommended most often.
And as well, it's really really funny as well. It's really funny.
I'll have to check that out then. Yeah, I like how the theme song has fully become a meme at the minute.
Yeah,
I don't know if you watch many memes, but it's all over the place. It's just that song everywhere.
It's a great show. I could bang on about it for ages, but I do recommend it.
Here's a question for you. A minute ago you said about how they're releasing it weekly.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if you've been following this. This is sort of news, but this isn't a point I've got. Netflix recently had one of the biggest drop-offs in their company's history.
Yeah.
I think it's because they announced that they wouldn't be doing password sharing anymore, and they were thinking about putting ads on the platform, and basically shit tons of people were like, "Well, I'm not paying for that," so they dropped off. So I read this article and it's saying about how what they can do to possibly bring people back, and as you know, Netflix with most of their shows, they do the sort of dump the season.
Yeah, dump it all in one go.
Dump it all in one go, as opposed to like Disney Plus, and normal programming, I guess, where it's like weekly. So they're thinking about doing it maybe weekly to keep people invested. What do you think is the best way to release a show? Would you rather watch it all in once so you can binge the hell out of it, or would you rather go for the weekly release plan?
It's difficult, that is. I think it's convenient having it in one go, isn't it? I think everybody's so used to having it dumped in one go as part of like modern entertainment convenience. Because Netflix is known to be binged, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Netflix shows binge watched. But I find like now, like I have less and less time. I mean, at the moment I'm still off work, so I do have a lot of time. But normally when I'm at work and you've got your partner's at work, you got a dog, you got all this other stuff going on. it's harder to find time to binge watch a show. And I
Yeah.
find when it is released, traditionally week by week, it gets you a bit more excited for it, looking forward to it more.
Definitely agree with
you
that.
want in the next instalment. Where when it's all in one go, you're like, oh well, we'll get through it at some point. It's all there.
I get what you mean exactly. I think that the sort of dump the season is good because it allows you to just watch it all at your own pace. But then it's also bad because spoilers are going to get around, with people that have seen the season and maybe you're on the first episode or something. I like the option to be able to watch it all. But I think I do prefer the weekly release because, like you say, it gets you more pumped for the next episode.
100%.
Like, I always get to an end of an episode and I'm like, I wish there was another one kind of thing. But I quite like having that, right, Tuesday it's this show, Wednesday it's this show I'm watching, You can watch a little bit throughout the week. Yeah?
Like there's a couple of shows, if you watch Prison Break.
We've seen it all, bro, yeah.
Yeah, and imagine watching Prison Break or Lost when it was on TV. You would literally be dying for the next episode.
Yeah. And the thing is, with that sort of era of TV, you're talking like 24 episodes a season.
I know.
Hour-long episodes. I recently, it was probably middle of last year, I tried to watch all of Lost again. Because I was like, I can barely remember it. I remember it being one of my favourite shows. And I think I got to like season 3. But there's just so much of it.
There's loads.
And it's like, it's very dated now. It's very early 2000s.
Yeah, the CGI in it is bad.
Yeah. But I just couldn't. I do want to watch it still, and I will watch it, but at that point I had to stop because I was like, I can't watch anymore. Because it's not like they're 20-minute episodes and there's 20 of them. They're like hour-long episodes. I do prefer the HBO 10 1 hour.
Yeah, it works better. It's quality over quantity as well, isn't it? Even though Lost was amazing.
Yeah.
Generally, you look at Game of Thrones, Sopranos, Boardwalk Empire, those sort of HBO shows. Yeah. There's so much quality packed in.
Did you ever finish Boardwalk Empire?
No. I think there's 5 seasons. I think.
Yeah.
I didn't watch the last season.
Oh, I stopped.
Or I started it and didn't finish it.
I think I stopped halfway through season 3.
Yeah.
It
was a very good show.
Sick of it.
But it went downhill quite quick.
Well, they killed off my favourite character, and it just wasn't the same after that.
No.
So I just didn't.
Killed off very quick as well.
Yeah. Way too early.
I think in season 5, Nucky moves to like Miami or something for like half a season, and it was just shit.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not. How is it a boardwalk if it's Miami?
I know.
Yeah. Anyway, send us an email, dudewutpodcast@gmail.com. Let me know what your favourite sort of release style is. Would you rather they dump the season so you can binge it at your own rate, or do you like looking forward to an episode every week? I find that at the moment, because Fee's working a lot, we don't always manage to watch the episodes as they come out. So quite often, I've got 3 or 4 episodes because I've missed the last 3 weeks. Yeah. Well... So I think I prefer the weekly schedule, because it makes the hype of shows last longer as well. For example, like that Moon Knight that came out recently on Disney Plus. You're talking about that for like 6 weeks of constant hype, as opposed to one day.
Yeah. Well, the next one's Obi-Wan Kenobi, isn't it? So
it is on Disney Plus. Yeah, real soon. Also, so this is something that Netflix have started doing. The first step of trying to bring back customers is they're splitting seasons. So they'll release half of it on one date, half of it on another date to keep you invested. So they're actually doing that with the upcoming Stranger Things 4.
Yeah, they did that with I don't know if you've watched Ozark.
No, I haven't.
They did that with the last season of Ozark, and it was just pointless, to be honest.
Yeah.
It just totally threw you out the rhythm of the show.
Oh, that's crap.
Yeah, it wasn't like Breaking Bad where, You know what happens halfway through the last season?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't want to say it in case anybody hasn't watched it because it is an amazing point in the show.
Yeah, yeah.
But that was a real mid-season break.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. I
massive
am
cliffhanger.
looking forward to that Stranger Things 4. I hope that sort of chop the season doesn't affect the flow.
Yeah, I watched the trailer for it again yesterday. I'm proper hyped for that. I'm really looking forward to it.
Thea's never watched any of it.
See, Hannah's watched it, but she's not. She thinks it's too repetitive.
Oh, really?
Which I understand, but I really like it.
I think it's great. I don't know what there is to dislike about it.
Yeah,
unless the only way I think you can dislike it is if you don't like films or TV shows that have like a younger core cast.
Yeah.
No, I think it's great. But anyway, moving on. Have you ever seen the film This Is Spinal Tap?
No, I know it's regarded as a very legendary film. I've never actually watched it.
No way. You got to watch that at some point.
Yeah, I know.
It's really good. So it came out 40 years ago now.
Jesus.
It's a probably at the time it was the biggest mockumentary style of filmmaking, where it's like a documentary but it's a complete parody.
Yeah.
The film follows a band called Spinal Tap and their antics on the tour and the release of an album. It's very funny, very good. I think afterwards as well, following on from the success of it, the cast members, I think for the last 40 years or so, they've actually played the odd real life gig.
Yeah.
Because they basically are a band, But anyway, it has been announced that Spinal Tap is finally getting a sequel.
Really?
40 years later. Yeah.
Jesus. It's mad.
Yeah, I am actually looking forward to that. I genuinely did really like that first Spinal Tap film. It was really good.
40 years after.
I know, it's madness. It's weird, isn't it? So this episode is actually called Feel Old Yet? And granted, we weren't around then when the first one came out, but 40 years is a long time.
I mean, that's like outdoing Twin Peaks, isn't it? There.
Yeah.
Sequel at 20 whatever years later it was.
Yeah. I think Spinal Tap was 80s, I want to say.
Yeah. It would have been early 80s, 40 years ago.
Yeah. All right, next little bit of news. Unfortunately, the actor Fred Ward has passed away aged 79. Now, you might not know Fred Ward by name, but have you seen any of the Tremors films? Or more specifically, the first two?
I have not, no.
So, probably about 6 months ago, I went on a massive Tremors binge, because I'd never seen any of them, and I watched all 5 or 6, or however many there are. And they get considerably worse as they go on, but they also get more, cheesy.
Yeah.
I think Napoleon Dynamite is actually in the 5th one or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the actor. But an actor called Fred Ward, he's sort of one of the 2 original guys. He's like Kevin Bacon's best mate in the first film. He's in the first one, and then he's the main character in the second one. Unfortunately, he's died age 79. As I say, if you haven't seen those Tremors films, and you like a bit of good old-fashioned monster comedy horror, check them out. They are good. And some of the practical effects in that first Tremors film is really good.
Yeah, okay.
It's all about these great big, underground monster worms that come up and grab you and stuff. And then it gets way more cheesy as it goes on with, mega ones and flying ones and all sorts of stuff. But yeah, Fred Ward's passed away. Next little bit of news. An actor that I really like, Dan Stevens, has been cast in the upcoming Godzilla vs. Kong sequel. Whatever that's going to be. Yeah. A continuation of the Monarch universe, which is, Godzilla, King of the Monsters, Kong Skull Island, that whole franchise. Yeah. I actually, apart from the Godzilla films, I just think are pretty crap, I thought Kong Skull Island was pretty good, and Zilla versus Kong was okay.
I actually haven't watched any of them.
Oh, really?
It just doesn't appeal to me, really. I think I can admit when I did watch the trailer for Kong Skull Island, it did look decent.
Skull Island is definitely the best one because you've got Tom Hiddleston, John C. Reilly, Sam Jackson, Brie Larson. You've got a really good cast. Yeah. And it's sort of funny, sort of, obviously action, Kong, whatnot. But Dan Stevens, he is I want to say smaller. I don't think he's not small, but he's a smaller British actor, probably best well known for things like Downton Abbey, and he was actually the Beast in the remake of the Beauty and the Beast film with Emma Watson. But he was in a fantastic film called The Guest. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
No.
If you've never seen The Guest, and anyone listening to this has never seen The Guest with Dan Stevens, check it out. It's a small, independent sort of film. It's basically, I don't know how to describe it, The Terminator meets... I don't know. It's so cool. The whole film has got like an 80s sound wave synth pop soundtrack to it. The soundtrack's amazing. Cool. The film is really good. It's just his performance in that is very good. I cannot wait for them to do a The Guest 2. So would recommend checking that out. But anyway, he has been cast in Godzilla vs. Kong, which, I think it's good news. I think those films are only as good as the cast, because there's always going to be great big CG monsters jumping around.
Oh, yeah.
So it really relies on the cast, which is why I think Skull Island is the best one, because there's actually a good cast in it. But yeah, Dan Stevens. Check out The Guest, honestly. Last little bit of news then. A couple of days ago, it was the Eurovision Song Contest. Now, when I was younger, I used to absolutely love the Eurovision Song Contest because I like the super camp, cheesy songs. I love it when like Moldova comes out with like 6 accordions or something. Like I think that's great.
Epic sax guy.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, you've got some bands that were made at Eurovision, like ABBA, Lordi, bands like that. I don't watch it in recent years because it's just crap pop. I think a lot of it's crap pop, and the UK always has a really crap entry, and we never get any points. So I haven't watched it in years.
I don't think I've watched it since I was a kid, when like my mom would have it on TV, and I was like forced to watch it or sort of.
Yeah. Speaking of Eurovision, have you ever seen the Will Ferrell film Eurovision?
No, it's quite new, isn't it?
You have to watch that, bro. That's so funny, and Dan Stevens plays the bad guy in that film.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'll have to check it out.
Hilarious. I guarantee you, once you listen to that, you will put the soundtrack on your Spotify playlist, because it's got a banging soundtrack. Will Ferrell, like, so good.
Oh, I do love Will Ferrell.
Anyway, yeah, so it was the Eurovision Song Contest. The UK, everyone was pretty pumped over here because they thought we had a pretty good entry. I can't remember the guy's name. Great big blonde hair, big blonde beard. I've actually seen him on Facebook a few times because he's got a really good vocal range. But I listened to the song and I didn't like it.
Yeah, I haven't heard it.
I mean, people think it's pretty good, but I didn't like it. Anyway, so it was the Eurovision Song Contest. The UK came second, which is like the best we have done in years and years and years. That's basically a win for us.
Yeah, pretty much. That's amazing.
Yeah. The winners were Ukraine. Ukraine won with the Ukrainian Kalish Orchestra with an original song called Stefania, or Stefania. It's pretty obvious that why they won.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, Eurovision is known for being basically as much about politics as it is about about actual songs. So
it's political
I think
and
it was.
popularity.
Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious that Ukraine was going to win. Because of their struggle and everything that's going on. So really, when you think about it, that means that if Ukraine won, if UK came second,
we won.
We basically won it.
We won.
I did watch the performance afterwards from our boy. It's all right. It's all right. I don't understand though how one person walking around a stage with a microphone can win. You know, you need a band. You need like stuff going on. You need fire and stuff.
That's what you need.
You just need Epic Sex Guy. Yeah. And that is it for the entertainment news. Now we are currently at about 35 minutes. We're going to get into the meat of this podcast, but as I say, I think it's going to be a pretty short one. So let me get my paperwork in order. All right, so. As you saw when you tapped on this episode is called Feel Old Yet? It was actually going to be called Things That Turn 20 this year, but I thought, Feel Old Yet's probably a bit more catching, a bit more grabbing. So what I have done is I have written a great big list of movies, music, and games, all things that came out 20 years ago, so things that will be turning 20 or have turned 20 this year. Now, me and you were in our late 20s, mid to late 20s. So this is stuff that we would remember as, young dudes.
Old enough to remember.
Yeah. So what I thought we'd do is we would just go through this list. I've sent you the list as well, Grizz. So we don't have to go through every single one of them. There's a lot of, in the music, there's a lot of pop songs. We don't have to go through every single one of them, but we'll just go through, we'll have a bit of a chat, a bit of a reminisce, and just see where it takes us. So let's start with films. Films that turn or have turned 20 this year. So the first one on my list, The Bourne Identity.
That is mad, to be fair, when I saw that. That's a great film as well. It's a fantastic film. 20 years old.
It is. It's definitely the best out of the Bourne franchise.
It's basics, isn't it? It's not over the top production. And I haven't watched it for a few years, but it probably hasn't aged that badly either, I can imagine.
No, it hasn't. I watched it not that long ago because I'd never seen the one that's just called Jason Bourne, like the newish one. No, it's aged pretty well. Like, it definitely is a product of its time. And I got to admit, the Bourne films basically pioneered the whole Paul Greengrass shaky cam in the fights. And in the first one, it's not so bad, but with sequels, it just gets ridiculous. You can't see the fight because the camera's shaking so much. But like, when you watch it, I think the thing that gets me straight away is how young Matt Damon looks in it.
Yeah.
He definitely looks like, he's a young dude. I don't know how old Matt Damon is, but I'd guess 50 or coming up on it.
Yeah, it's going to be around 50 now.
Yeah.
I can't believe that. I mean, to be fair, there's, 5 Bourne films now, if you take all of them into account?
Something like that. Because there was that one with Jeremy Renner in there as well.
I think that was the 4th one, and then there's the Jason Bourne one. I think that was the 5th. But I always consider like the real Bourne films were the first 3.
Yeah.
This is a great trilogy, and I think even the last one came out in like 2000, before 2010, 2008 or something like that.
Yeah.
So even that, like the newest one, I sort of consider is a long time ago.
Yeah. It is weird. I remember watching it when I was younger, and I just loved that scene with the Mini and the car chase through Paris or whatever, and he's like going down all them steps and stuff. Yeah.
I had as a Bourne, I can't remember if it was a Bourne Identity or a Bourne Supremacy game.
I remember it because you lent it to me.
It was a great
back
game
in the day. It was good, yeah.
It was a good game.
It was one of those ones though where they didn't have the licensing to make it like the film.
Yeah.
I think it was based off the book. So your character was just like a generic handsome man, model number one.
But it was a good game, though.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. And I remember, if I remember right, it basically sets up more games that never came.
Yeah, I know. It basically, like you said, it followed the books, but it sort of followed like several of the books in one game.
Yeah,
and
it
didn't
did.
really have like a specific flow, because some of the scenes were like from the first film, and then some of the scenes were from like the last film. And you're like, "Whoa, it doesn't make any sense," but it was a good game.
Yeah. But yeah, Born Identity is a great film. It's still a very good film.
Yeah,
probably one of the best ones on the list, to be fair. Grizzo, choose one.
So, well, Spider-Man. So the original. Well, I say original. The original Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Shortly turns 20 in June.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that's a film that probably shaped my childhood, to be honest.
And yeah, well, and me. I had a bootleg copy of that film that I watched all the time.
I remember going to see it in the cinema, and me and my brother were both huge Spider-Man fans.
Yeah.
Before we saw this, we love the animated series, we love the comic books, and watching that's probably one of the first films I can properly remember watching and like loving as a kid. And I could put that on now and still absolutely love it.
Oh, definitely. I am actually tempted to go through and watch those Sam Raimi Spider-Man films again, because they are so good.
Yeah, and again, it's that sort of era as well where you'd have a film and straight away after you'd have a game as well about that film.
Yeah.
And I remember having the first Spider-Man game on like PS2, like Platinum. You remember the ones with like the silver?
I remember.
Sort of outlines of the case. I had it on one of those, and it's just a badass film. But 20 years ago, and,
it's crazy. 20 years.
It's crazy when you consider, only a few months ago you had Tobey Maguire coming back as well.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Tobey Maguire is definitely our generation's Spider-Man.
Definitely. And it's inspired a hell of a lot of other superhero films.
Yeah, full on.
Without that film, the second one, superhero films probably wouldn't be where we are today.
Yeah, I think that's fair. That's safe to say. Yeah, just a fantastic film, and still current with the amount of memes and things that are still based off.
You see it everywhere all the time still.
Yeah, just mad to think that 20 years. So that film came out in 14th of June 2002. Long time ago. Well, to be fair though, when you read it on paper, it doesn't. It's like 2000. I remember 2002.
Yeah, when you see it on paper, it doesn't sound like a long time ago. When you actually put it into perspective about how long ago that actually is, though.
Yeah. Okay, what about one of my personal favourites on here? The second Lord of the Rings film. Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers came out on the 11th of December 2002. So that means that the first one is 21 years old.
Yeah. This was actually the first Lord of the Rings film I watched, and I saw it in the cinema, and I would have been 7 years old.
Yeah.
I remember I had a good friend called Kieran when I was a kid, and he had an older brother, and we all went to the cinema to watch it for his birthday.
Yeah.
I remember being sat in the cinema, and I was like, "What the fuck is this shit?" 7 years old.
Yeah, there's a lot of walking in part 2.
It's a long film for a 7-year-old to watch.
Yeah.
In the cinema, and to be fair, like, isn't it like a 50? What age rating is Lord of the Rings? I can't remember.
I think they're all 12s.
Yeah. So, well, I was 7, so
yeah.
I definitely watched it in the cinema. But no, that's a film obviously I didn't appreciate for a long time.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic film. It's probably my favourite Lord of the Rings film.
Yeah.
But what can you say about it? It's a masterpiece, isn't it? But
yeah,
it's just
it is a
7
masterpiece.
years old, you can't appreciate it.
So I went to the cinema to see all of these films, but I also had a "what the fuck is going on" moment. I used to go to the cinema with my dad maybe a few times a week. We both love films, and Dad just likes seeing any film. He doesn't care what it is or anything. So, but Dad's trademark is he hates being early to anything. He'd rather be late than early. So the amount of times through my childhood that we got to the cinema the film's already started, you know. And of course, in the first Lord of the Rings, there's loads of exposition, like, you know, what's happened, why everyone's fighting. We missed that, right? So, we walked in and there's like a body floating down the river with arrows in it and stuff, and I was just like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. But actually, to be fair, this is going off on a tangent for a sec. The one time where that happened, where I think it actually really benefits the film, was that Tom Cruise film called Oblivion.
Oh yeah, it's a good
So
film.
when I went to go see it, we missed the first 5 minutes, and we walked in to Tom Cruise landing a spaceship on a baseball field and like slowly walking out with a rifle. And of course we were like, what's going on? What's happening? What's all this? You know, and it kept that suspense, that tension, like that wonder for the whole film. Whereas when I then saw it again on DVD and I saw the whole film, there's like 5 minutes of, right, the planet was nuked, there's robots everywhere, there's bad guys, like, it works so much better if you don't know any of that. So it did work then. But yeah, back to Lord of the Rings. Those films, I'm amazed they haven't been remade yet. They, of course, will be remade at some point, unfortunately, with probably fucking Harry Styles playing Aragorn or some bollocks like that. But to be fair, keeping on point with this podcast, it'll be Tom Holland playing like Gimli or someone.
Gimli.
I love those films. They are very dear to me, and it's just crazy to think that they're 20 years old.
Yeah, I mean, I went to Hobbiton in New Zealand.
You did. So jealous about that, bro.
About 3-4 years ago now, and that was awesome. And you know, it's one of those things, you don't want to get too excited for it. You know, you don't want to be underwhelmed or disappointed, but it didn't disappoint at all. It was so cool.
So you actually had a pint in the Green Dragon, didn't you?
I did, yeah. I had a nice bit of ale. It's massive, to be fair. It's obviously a set, but like that set's been there for God knows how many years now.
Yeah.
Because we kept it up for the original trilogy.
Yeah.
When we said we had to take it all down, because it was just on some farmland.
Oh, okay.
And they basically rented the farmland off this like sheep farmer. And after they filmed the original trilogy, they had to take it all down.
Yeah.
And then they rebuilt the whole set again to like the same standard for the Hobbit films.
Oh, right.
And after that, they just turned it into a tourist attraction. And it was really, really cool. Really cool.
That's one of my... It's on my bucket list, 100%. I need to go and have a pint in the Green Dragon. Dance on the table.
It didn't feel like a film set. Do you know what I mean? It just felt very like organic, very natural into the landscape.
Yeah. All right. Give us another film, bro.
So, I will choose, because this one surprised me actually. The original Jackass movie.
Yeah.
That one pretty much surprised me because I remember watching that at an age I shouldn't have been watching that film.
Oh, definitely, yeah. It was. I think I described it on the podcast before. It's like the original sleepover movie.
It is 100%.
Like you go and slay over your mate's house, and you take a copy of Jackass.
Yeah, it'd be
you're
Jackass,
all there watching it. Yeah.
Borat, Superbad.
Yeah.
But Meet the Fuckers.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was one of the OG sleepover films, and God, I mean, it set them all up for life, didn't it? And it spawned some very other good spin-off films as well. But
I recently watched Jackass Forever last week. Actually,
watched it yet.
It's worth watching, man. But it's crazy to see because like Johnny Knoxville has got white hair.
I know, he looks like a full-on granddad.
They all, except for maybe Chris Pontius, they all look their age now.
I know.
I mean, like, Dave England looks awful.
I mean, it's a surprise they've made it to that age, to be honest. If you think,
yeah, man.
20 years ago they were doing this shit. They had the TV show beforehand.
Yeah,
they've
in
done
the
countless
late
films
90s.
and they've done some crazy shit.
Yeah.
But that film, you know, isn't that the one that goes to Japan? Goes to Japan in the first one, don't they?
Party Boy in Japan. Yeah.
That one, it holds a special place for me.
Yeah.
Wrongly so, but
I love the sketch in the first one where is it Johnny Knoxville or someone goes to fight Butterbean? The fighter. In a clothes shop or something.
it's a good film.
It's a really good film. I got to say though, I
laughs.
think Jackass 2 is probably my favourite.
Jackass 2 is my favourite. Three is very good as well, to be honest.
Yeah.
That's the way it definitely upped the budget big time.
Yeah,
But
3D.
one was just a bunch of dudes, all mates, just fucking around.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, 20 years ago, it just surprised me.
It's crazy. It's so crazy when you think about that.
But I've never actually been to the cinema to watch any of the Jackass films.
No,
though,
me either.
But I've watched all of them countless times.
My dad absolutely loves Jackass. Like, he texted me a couple of months back when it came out, saying like, just been to see Jackass 4. Like, you've got to see it.
Did he
like,
really?
He went to the cinema to go see Jackass 4.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and he probably likes it as well because like Jackass 4, you've got dudes that are in their 50s doing like gnarly stunts. There's just a little bit where Johnny Knoxville gets wiped out by a bull again, like he does in the second one. And you just think, Jesus, bro, you're literally 50 something.
I know, it's got to
take it easy, man.
Hurt, man.
We've got loads on this list. I think we should maybe do another one, and then we'll just we'll blast through the rest. So, let me try and pick one of the best ones. Of course, you had Star Wars Episode 2, probably the worst Star Wars film in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think the other one on that list, which is very good, is Minority Report.
Yeah,
with Tom Cruise.
Film.
Really good film.
Yeah.
No, carry on, bro.
No, I was going to say, this is a film, actually, obviously it came out 20 years ago. I didn't watch this film until about 4 years ago, maybe.
What, Minority Report?
Yeah, 100%.
Really?
Didn't even know it existed until about 4 or 5 years ago.
Oh, it's a great film. I had a bootleg copy of it.
Yeah, I had no idea. I just went through a phase of watching a load of Tom Cruise films. And I was like, this looks interesting. And I thought it was going to be not shit, but I thought it was going to look shit visually.
Yeah.
So I thought it was going to be quite dated. And it holds up still, for like a 2000 sci-fi film. It does hold up pretty well.
Oh, decent. Yeah, I remember loving it, but I remember cringing really bad when I was a kid at the bit when he has his eyes removed.
Yeah.
And swapped. And it's that doctor who like takes a shit and like doesn't wash his hands and stuff. It's just gross doctor operating on his eyes. Like,
yeah, it's a good plot. I think the plot definitely helps carry it. Because I mean, like I said, it does hold up, but some of the CG does look dated.
Yeah.
But it's not like, oh god, that's bad. Like the plot sort of keeps driving it forwards. But yeah, like I literally had no clue about it until about 4 or 5 years ago.
Oh, no way. I remember watching it with my sister when we were both fairly young and loving it, But I got to admit, like, I know that Tom Cruise often plays himself in films. There's a few exceptions, one of them being that film Edge of Tomorrow, where he plays just an absolute wimpy coward at the beginning.
Yeah,
anyway.
oh yeah.
But yeah, I got a lot of love and respect for Tom Cruise. I think he's one of the ultimate actors in Hollywood.
Yeah, I know. Obviously, you're a big fan of Mission Impossible as well.
Yeah, I love it.
I'm surprised one of those aren't on the list. To be honest, one of the early ones.
Yeah, I mean I wonder when the second one came out, because the second one was one of my like binge films when I was younger. And Fee as well. We both absolutely love Mission Impossible 2.
There's some, like you said, we won't go through all of them, but some very good films on that list. You got the second Harry Potter, Chamber of Secrets, which I've watched. I'm not a massive Harry Potter fan, but I have watched all of them in the cinema.
Yeah.
My mum and dad and my siblings are all big fans. Got Gangs of New York, which it's a big Martin Scorsese film. Which I probably didn't watch again until about more recently, even closer to the release date, because obviously it was an 18. It's not my favourite Scorsese film, to be honest, but I'm not surprised it's 20 years old. Like you watch that film now, like the sets look dated, even though it's set in like the sort of like late 1800s. It does look old.
You got 8 Mile, which is, I mean, I don't like that film very much, but I understand it's important and everything. 28 Days Later, a film that I loved, which scared the poop out of me. But also, there's a film on there, Signs, with Mel Gibson, directed by M. Night Shyamalan. That film, I don't think is considered a very good film, but I think it's great.
Film, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's great. I loved it. It scared the hell out of me. It just doesn't make sense. The worst thing about the film is how almost lazy it is. Yeah. You know, I mean, the main bad guys, you've got aliens, the main bad guys, they're coming to Earth to take over Earth, right? What's the aliens' weakness? Water. So why the fuck are they invading a planet that's like 80% water? Morons. You know. But loads of tension, and I find aliens more scary than ghosts.
Yeah.
So anything that's like alien spooky really gets me.
And then the last one on there, obviously another good film as well, is Catch Me If You Can. With Leonardo DiCaprio.
I think it's since come out that most of... Because it was based on a true story.
Yeah,
I think the guy was called Frank Abagnale or something. It's come out that it was basically all bollocks. He didn't do half of that shit. He just lied and said that he did it all.
I mean, it's made a good film anyway, so...
Oh, yeah. All right, let's move on to music. Now, I originally I was going to do music. We actually did plan. I planned on doing this episode with Fee last week, but we ended up doing a So You Think You Know music quiz. So there's a lot of poppy songs in this music list. But, you know, I think there's a good chance that everyone will know them. So, do you want to pick a song that is 20 years old this year?
I mean, looking at this list, majority of these, you know, you'd hear all the time on the radio.
Yeah.
Not surprisingly, because they're all great. Well, majority of them are great songs.
Yeah.
But I think, not my personal favourite, but the one a lot of people like look back to this era as like an absolute classic is Skater Boy.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that. I'm looking at that one now.
I mean, you know, it's just like a cult song, isn't it? I mean, it
is, yeah.
It's divided.
Also,
era.
There's an interesting fact. I'm pretty sure it might not be the right production company, but I'm pretty sure after that song came out, Warner Brothers or someone bought the rights to that song.
Okay.
To turn it into a film, because you know the story of the song is basically a film in itself. Yeah. They were fully planning on doing a Skater Boy movie back when this came out. But yeah, you know, Skater Boy, Complicated, that like poppy, punky, grungy Avril Lavigne.
Yeah.
Probably the best Lavigne.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very like particular sound, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? There's not really much else like that, really. It's very, you know, it's from that era, and nothing else will really replicate it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, 20 years ago, you know, I remember hearing that all the time when I was a kid.
Yeah, same. I actually had that album. Yeah.
Like it's an absolute bop still.
Yeah, definitely. So there's a lot on this list. One of the ones that I knew it straight away, basically, when I saw the name. It's The Ketchup Song by Last Ketchup. Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
20 years. I remember that the little dance that they did when they were singing it. It's just so weird. Like, how did that song end up in UK charts?
I don't know. It's mad, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
It's just mad.
It's basically like very, very Macarena vibes.
Yeah, 100%. You know,
and that was obviously mega. Yeah. Just such a strange song, but you know, cool. And I definitely remember that 20 years ago. Give us another one.
Well, my favourite song on here would be Tribute by Tenacious D. I mean, what an absolute song.
Sorry, man. Some coffee went down the wrong way.
It's all good.
Yeah, Tribute by Tenacious D. I find that hard to believe that that's 20 years old.
I think it's just a timeless song. Do you know what I mean? You can't pinpoint like a time on that song. It is just... It just won't age. It is just an absolutely awesome song. And that whole album, absolutely fantastic.
I think you're spot on with that song won't age.
Yeah, it's just amazing. I mean, you could put it on now, and you would think it was recorded last week.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's like some of these songs on here are like proper cheesy.
So in the last episode, when we were talking about, me and Fee were talking about this pop quiz, I said I have three. I said I don't really like pop music very much. Right, it's one of the few genres that I genuinely feel a bit disconnected from.
Yeah.
And I said, but I can tell you my 3 favourite pop songs of all time. And then I said, I'll leave that for the end of the episode. And I forgot all about it. So I know you've all been dying with anticipation. But here we go. My 3 favourite pop songs of all time. Number 1. Shall I go first or shall I go third? Okay, third favourite pop song of all time is... no, I'm going to go the other way around, because one of them's on this list. Best pop song of all time, in my opinion, is Whenever, Wherever by Shakira.
Yeah, that's great.
It's just it's my favourite, you know. Second favourite pop song of all time is probably Raw by Katy Perry.
Okay.
I know it's a newer one, but I just...
I mean, it's still like 10 years ago, probably.
Yeah, to be fair. Damn, feel old yet. I don't like the vocals or anything. I just like the big bass in that. But then my third favourite pop song of all time came out 20 years ago, and it is Murder on the Dance Floor by Sophie Ellis-Bextor.
I mean, it's a bop, isn't it, to be fair?
It's so good. It's got that 2000s radio vibe.
Oh, 100%.
You know, with that almost like disco-y parts to it.
I remember it being on the radio all the time. I remember my older sister loved this song. And I just remember like MTV being on the TV all the time. And this was always on. Always.
So like you with not watching Minority Report for 20 years, I only saw the video for this maybe a couple of years ago. I'd never seen the video. I watched it, and it just made me love the song even more. It's like they're in a dance competition, Sophie Ellis-Bextor and some old man, and they're in like a pensioners' dance competition. And her and her partner are finding ways to murder everyone else that's in the competition so they can win. It's just great. It really is good. And I like how Sophie Ellis-Bextor... knows that she is not popular anymore, kind of thing. So whenever she does anything, it's incredibly humble, and I think it's just good to see. You know, the artist knows that they're, not the big shit.
There's one on here that's your personal favourite as well.
Go on.
A bit of Nickelback.
Yeah, man. So I was going to mention this one. This is probably this and the one below it probably are the 2 that I genuinely find it like it's blowing my mind that How You Remind Me came out 20 years ago.
I mean,
that song still gets sung. It still gets sung all the time. If that song comes on, everyone in the room is going to be singing it. I know it's probably the ultimate Nickelback song.
I know. I was going to say, I know people hate on Nickelback, but you can't deny it's a good song.
Yeah. I think people who hate Nickelback love How You Remind Me, and they love Rockstar.
Yeah, I know.
I
know. I mean, they obviously get a lot of hate, but they have got some very good songs.
They've got some great songs.
Days, and that is a great song. But 20 years ago, in fact, like a few of these things...
was the album called... Was it All the Right Reasons?
Yeah, it was All the Right Reasons, I think. The one with like the muscle
car
on the front. Yeah.
My
favourite album of all time.
It's a good one. I don't know about that, but I actually prefer my era of Nickelback is actually earlier than this. I like Curb and stuff like that.
Very early, very early.
Early Nickelback. Yeah.
Compare that to now, it's like a completely different band.
Oh god, yeah. I think All the Right Reasons is when they sort of softened their sound. They rounded everything out a little bit more so that it could be so accepted kind of thing, Yeah. but the whole album's good. But How You Remind Me, yeah, just I mean, when I was younger, I had an auntie who unfortunately passed away when I was quite young, but she was a massive influence on me with music. I would go around her house, and it would always be Red Hot Chili Peppers playing. It would always be Nickelback playing. She loved Nickelback, and it would be Cotton Eye Joe by Rednecks. You know, another absolute banger. Yeah. But yeah, she introduced me to Nickelback and you know, stuff like that. And yeah, it is genuinely blowing my mind that song is 20 years old.
Again, I don't think it's aged either. That's the thing.
Nah, it hasn't.
Some of those on that list, you know, they do sound.
Yeah, like Hot in Here by Nelly. That I would say that song was in the 90s.
Yeah, I know.
If you asked me, yeah. All right, let's quickly blast through some of the rest of them, and then we'll move on. Is there any more on there that interest you?
I mean, the last one, obviously, on the list, you know, I'd 100% pick as my favourite, and you probably would as well.
Yeah,
which is, by the way, by the Chili Peppers, which,
yeah,
you know, like, that probably was the one the most where it did surprise me.
Yeah,
that was 20 years ago, because that was the
first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the first album I ever owned. That was.
Oh, really?
I think my sister bought it me quite soon after my 7th birthday, and like I just had it on all the time, like in my CD player. It was that, like Aerosmith Greatest Hits, what, the two first albums I ever had, and like, you know, I think out of all the things on that, besides Tribute, that album has not aged whatsoever. You know,
no, it hasn't.
It's a masterpiece of an album. I mean, the song is fantastic as well, but like, you know, someone would put that song on. You go to like a pub or something, whatever. That song will be on the background. People probably wouldn't think that's from 20 years ago.
No, yeah. It's another one that. So I put By the Way, but that means the album as well as the By the Way song. But By the Way, you know, you've got tracks on there that, again, it's like How You Remind Me. People who don't know the Chili Peppers are gonna sing along. You've got By the Way, you've got Can't Stop,
Zephyr Song,
you know, Zephyr Song, songs like that. I also remember having this album as a little kid, but when I was younger, me and my dad used to travel a lot, and he used to have those massive booklets, you know, big zip booklets full of albums.
Yeah.
Where you just slide the disc in. So he'd copy all these albums, like rip them from students or something he had. I should say my dad, since like 1975.
He's been a porn
star. He's retired now, but he was. Yes, he was. No, he wasn't. He was a musician, professional musician, and guitar teacher. So he would rip all these albums off students and print out a cover for it. But he'd print the cover in black and white. And I just remember seeing like a really badly printed cover for By the Way, and it really creeping me out somewhat because it's a weird looking.
Yeah,
cover,
it is. It is a weird album cover.
But yeah, By the Way, 20 years old. That's mad. Some other ones we've got on there. We've got Hella Good by No Doubt, another band that I absolutely love. Not my favourite No Doubt song, but yeah, a great one. You've got 1,000 Miles by Vanessa Carlton. That still gets played all the time. Still used in movies and stuff. 20 years, that song. Crazy. Is there anything else on there? I mean, you've got some Eminem. You've got Lose Yourself and Without Me. Eminem, there's almost like there's phases of Eminem.
Definitely.
And that was his...
the golden era.
Yeah, I'd say that's his young Eminem, because I've said before, I personally like Slim Shady more than I like Eminem, if you get me.
Yeah.
So I like the early stuff.
I like the early stuff too.
This is when he was, like proper Eminem.
This is when he sort of he hit like mainstream. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And you know, it's still iconic songs. You know.
Oh, they definitely are.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You've got you got Bootylicious by Destiny's Child. Adam loves that one. That's basically it for songs. I mean, there's a few more on there, but we could just keep going all day with these songs. Now, games. This era is, it's a bit different for games. As where I remember all these films and I remember all these songs. For games, we were still in the it was still quite early.
Very early days still. So
for me, like the golden age of games when they really started to pick up, for me was probably like 2006 to 2008.
Yeah.
You know, you had like the first Assassins in that time period. You had all these great new games. This is a little bit before that, but there are at least a couple of games that came out, you know, that are 20 years old this year. So I'll go first. Time Splitters 2. Now, I have never played any of the Time Splitters games, but I remember. But I remember, even now, people are still talking about Time Splitters and how they want a new one and stuff. So it must have been a pretty big game.
I feel like with this era of gaming as well, like there's just so many games that came out, and it's just a lot of meh sort of games.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
like it's a lot of filler sort of games, and like there's not many that probably stand out really because it's sort of that PS1 into PS2 era.
Yeah,
but one that is on the list, which is no doubt an absolute standout, is GTA.
Yeah.
Vice City, which is just an iconic game, isn't it?
It is, definitely.
And still
probably
now, you know, 20 years later, people, you know, I can't imagine any GTA fan would say they wouldn't want to go back to Vice City.
Yeah.
In a modern game.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think the theory is that Vice City is going to be the setting for the newest one, 6, when
really
it finally
hope it
rolls
is
around.
As well. But that just shows how much of an impact it's had. GTA is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, gaming series of all time.
I think that's probably safe to say, yeah.
And you know, people want to go back to that set in that era because it's just so iconic.
It was good. So it was, you know, it was set in the 80s. Compared to the last game that was very sort of grey, it was very colourful and like neon, and everyone's got colourful shirts. And didn't was it in Vice City where you've got Ray Liotta voicing the main guy, or was that GTA 3?
No, but I think that was Vice City. I'm pretty certain it was Vice City, but this was the first GTA I played. This was and you know, it's probably not my favourite, like, you know, because at that age, you know, it's hard to like fully appreciate a game.
Yeah,
and get your head around it because I can't remember much about the story. I just remember going around with a chainsaw and cutting people in half,
flying around in tanks is what I remember. Yeah,
but that's the fun of the game, isn't it? And
yeah, I think I was listening to something recently on the What Culture Gaming podcast, which is a podcast that I recommend like every week. It's great. But they were saying that those games were so good because of how they played. It would basically just be like, okay, there's a truck driving around the city, or there's about 3 trucks, blow it up. Mission starts. Here you go. You know, and you just spawn where you left off, and you'd have to figure out how to do it all yourself and everything. Whereas in these new games, the way missions have been, you know, have developed has come along so far. So in a new game, it's way more cinematic. It might start you in a car and you've got to do this and this and this and this before you can blow up the truck, say. But yeah, in those old games, it was just like, here's a rocket launcher, off you go, you know. And you could have more fun with those games. Yeah, I think as a young person.
I mean, those games as a whole, like, you know, they're classified as like a sandbox game.
Yeah.
Where back then they were like a true sandbox game. You could do whatever you wanted. There wasn't much structure. Yes, there's a story. But like, the story was pretty loose. It was like, you know, you could be like, oh, lay low, you know, in the missions or something, and then you go out and get a tank and like run over half a city.
Yeah.
Where, like, you know, in the newer games, it is like more of a cinematic. Even though it's, you know, an open world, it is more linear still.
Yeah.
Like the story drives it in like a more linear way, and it sort of impacts what you can do. But I mean, I'm absolutely buzzing if I go back to Vice City.
I think the last thing I heard was that it's possibly going to be 3 main characters again, and it's going to be Vice City in 2 different time periods.
Yeah,
so
that sounds amazing.
One in like 80s where it's all amazing, and then one in like late 90s where it's all crummy and stuff.
I think as well, like we've been saying, I've said quite a bit as well, looking at the music in the films, some of it is timeless, it hasn't aged.
Yeah.
Where, you look at the games and they've aged shitloads.
They have, yeah. Even games that came out like 5 years ago have aged.
I know.
I think it's because like with films and music and stuff, technology is constantly advancing, but it's way more noticeable in video games.
Yeah, well, I mean, you look at films, TV, that media, that platform has been around for a very, very, very long time. Like around 100 years, films. But gaming, 40 years ago, you had your first sort of gaming consoles and arcade systems.
Yeah.
They're so incredibly dated now.
Yeah.
Like, if you look, like you said, 5-10 years ago, it's like a massive difference. Massive difference.
Yeah, definitely. So there's one on here that I am not a fan of and never have been a fan of. But I know that you, maybe a couple of years ago, whenever it came out, you did get the latest one. So The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker, or Legend of the Wind Waker, I don't know what it's really called, but that game turns 20 this year. I'm not a fan. I'm not a Nintendo boy. I did have, I mean, to be fair, I had the original Game Boy, I had the Advance, I had the SP, I had the Wii. I do like the handheld Nintendo, but I didn't get a Switch or anything like that. I know you did. You got a Switch Lite, didn't you?
Yeah, so, I mean, it wasn't... The reason I got the Switch Lite was because when we went to the first lockdown, like 2 years ago now, which is...
Yeah.
Sounds like ages ago.
Crazy. Feel old yet?
I know, exactly. But yeah, I literally got the Switch Lite because I wanted to play Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's regarded as one of the best games ever, or the best game of the modern era. And I was like, I've got a lot of time in my hands. And I was like, I want to play this game. I've got an Xbox, I've got a PS4, I've got all these consoles, but I can't play this one game I want to play.
Yeah.
It's on a specific thing. So I just had to give in and buy a Switch Lite just to play Zelda.
Yeah.
That was the first one I've ever played as well, and it was a great game.
Yeah,
absolutely great game. And it did make me consider like playing some of the older ones, but you look at them, and they
not
just
for me, unfortunately.
It's not for me.
Yeah,
not now as well at this age. People that grow up playing that game, I could understand why they want to go back and play it. Like it's like us like looking at GTA,
Yeah, it's like Pokemon as well. Like I just. It does not interest me. The games are all exactly the same game, just with a different colour attached to it or something.
I think unless you grew up playing those games, it's very, very hard to get into or want to get into.
Yeah.
And I just never played them at all.
Yeah, they just don't interest me, unfortunately. All right, last one on the list. It's an Elder Scrolls game. So Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind is 20 years old this year. Now, I never played Morrowind. I mean, it's available to play. It's on Game Pass. Like, you can play it now. But I started with Oblivion. For me, it was Elder Scrolls. I think I borrowed Oblivion off someone. Loved it. Obviously loved Skyrim, however many times it came round.
Many now.
Even playing it on your Alexa, But it's mad to think that game is 20 years old. Because I remember it. Wasn't it on 3? Wait, what console was
that? Would have been
on?
Original Xbox.
Original Xbox, yeah.
I think 360 came out sort of like 2005, 2006.
Yeah.
Which is mad because I mean, I definitely didn't play it. The first Bethesda game I played was Fallout 3.
Yeah.
And even like when that came out, like I felt like I was too young to play it, almost like comprehend like all the systems involved and like the RPG elements, because it was like a complete different experience playing an RPG for the first time.
Yeah.
So literally, like I don't know, 20 years ago, I'd love to see what the state of that game looks like now.
I don't think it. I mean, obviously, it doesn't look great, but I don't think it looks
games
awful.
in general do not have very good graphics anyway.
Well, I think the thing is though, is that like they haven't actually changed that much.
Yeah.
So because the graphics aren't that great anyway, it's not too jarring to go back and play that now.
Yeah, it's true.
But what I remember from those early Elder Scrolls games is anytime you spoke to anyone, rather than just standing there and talking to them, it would zoom massively into their face, and they'd be like telling you some shit or something. Yeah, I never played it. I kind of wish I played it at the time because I don't want to play it now. But I know that it's considered like it's a really good one. Like people love Morrowind. I think Hamby played it when it came out and absolutely loved it.
I'm just looking here actually at a quick of a look at other games that came out in 2002.
Yeah.
And the original Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell.
Really, the first one? No way.
Which obviously a very iconic game. And it's a franchise we're both fans of, and they haven't done anything with it for God knows how many years.
I mean, there is a reboot coming. There's a Splinter Cell reboot, but God knows what that's going to be like with the state of Ubisoft at the minute.
I know the original Mafia game as well.
Okay, never played that.
They remade that last year or the year before.
Yeah.
Complete, like, not like a Rockstar remaster. It was like a complete built from the ground up remaster. And I haven't played it, my brother has, and he said it's great. This one, actually quite surprised me because, I mean, probably like you, is probably one of the biggest franchises I played when I was a kid. It's a Tony Hawk's game.
Oh, okay.
Pro Skater 4.
I remember Pro Skater 2.
The fourth one came out in 2002.
Yeah.
Did you play Pro Skater 4?
No, I didn't. I never played Pro Skater 4.
It probably is my favourite one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it's got that old school Tony Hawk's, you can't get off your board still.
Right, yeah.
It's the last one before Underground 1. But it had like the fun of Underground 1 with like the classicness of like the early Tony Hawk's games.
Oh, okay.
And then let's just see if there's
I did used to like those Tony Hawk games, but it wasn't until the first Skate came out that I really started to like skateboard games.
Oh, I played the first Tony Hawk's game I played was Pro Skater 2.
I played a bit of Pro Skater 2, yeah. Wasn't like Wee Man and people like that in there?
Yeah, there were like cheat codes in it.
Yeah, yeah.
And then this one, I don't know if you ever played this one or not, but I remember me and my brother played this a hell of a lot. It was Star Wars Jedi Knight 2. Jedi Outcast.
No, actually, I might have played that.
We had that. It was a really weird game. Like, I can't remember the story or anything, but we had it on original Xbox, and you could just basically do like battles, and we just do like 1v1 battles.
Yeah.
And they'd be like different arenas and stuff, and you start off and like it'd be quite a big arena, and you just have to fight each other and to the death, and it was great.
Oh, that's cool. I tell you what, Star Wars game I did absolutely love, and I still have it. I've got it on my Xbox Series X now. Is Star Wars? Was it called Star Wars Jedi Knight Jedi Academy?
Oh, okay.
Because that one like properly let you customize your person. Like you could have one saber, two sabers, double saber. You could really customize a lot of stuff, and I just remember it playing really well back then. I mean, I haven't played it since. It's on. I don't think it's on Game Pass, but it was on Games with Gold years ago.
Yeah.
And I got it, and now it's available to play on Series X. So I wonder how it runs.
There was so many Star Wars games that came out, and that sort of like I guess it's something. The reboot trilogy came out, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
That early 2000s, late 90s, and they brought out so many games. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I think that's literally it. I can't see any other major ones really, except for. I mean, one film we didn't mention earlier was the Harry Potter Chamber of Secrets, and the game also came out that year.
Okay. I remember I had the Philosopher's Stone, the game.
I had Chamber of Secrets, and it was.
Oh, did you?
Dog shit.
Yeah, what I remember from the first game is anytime you did like a wizarding duel, like a battle, you just like throw crackers at people. Like it was so weird. You didn't actually zap anyone. You threw these like exploding. They look like Christmas crackers. You threw those at people and they like blew up.
I had Philosopher's Stone on PS1.
Yeah.
But Chamber of Secrets was on PS2, and I had that whole scene where like Ron like helps Harry escape in like the blue car, the flying blue car.
Oh yeah.
And I saw like a clip of it recently on YouTube. It was like a meme or something. It was fucking awful.
Yeah, I saw a meme recently of the first one, Philosopher's Stone, and it was the bit when Malfoy steals. I can't remember his name now. He steals the Remembrall off that kid.
Oh yeah.
And then he flies up in the air and he's like, "Come and get it, Potter," or whatever. The graphics on that, like his face is just like a flat surface.
It's
with,
like
two
surfaces,
like,
two angles.
Yeah, Hagrid, PS1 Hagrid is the funniest looking thing.
That's bad. Yeah, the last one I'll mention on here, which surprises me actually. It's so old because I remember playing this and thinking it was an absolutely amazing game, but I absolutely shat my pants as well. It's Medal of Honor Frontline.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you played it or not, but it was basically about it was a game that was about the D-Day landings.
Oh right, okay.
Like it was almost like it was like watching Saving Private Ryan, but you were playing it.
Right. Yeah.
And I remember you were coming out of the carriers and like jumping out of the sea and getting shot, and it was literally like they remade the opening scene of Saving Private Ryan into a PS2 game, pretty much. Gunned down.
I never owned it, but I think I played a bit of it back when demo discs used to be a thing.
Yeah.
I used to get like the PlayStation and the Xbox magazines, and I used to get all the demo discs. So I think I might have played it. It sounds familiar, but for me, the Medal of Honor that I played the most was Rising Sun.
Yeah, that was a good one. European Assault was a very good one as well. But the thing I find most surprising after looking at all these lists of games and films and stuff is like, how the fuck did I play and watch this stuff when I was like 7 years old? Like,
yeah.
Like majority of his games are like 18s.
I think it was just like because it was games consoles, like they'd been around for a while, but obviously it was advancing at a really rapid rate back then. Our parents' generation didn't know anything about it really, so they were just, I mean, in our case, you want to play that game, cool, just play it, we ended up I remember playing the first Resident Evil when I was a little kid, and it's scaring the shit out of me. I couldn't play it was too scary.
I remember Christmas one year I wanted to get, I think it was GTA 3. I wanted GTA 3. And my sister actually bought it me, and my sister would have been like barely 18 at the time when she bought it from Tesco.
Yeah.
Wrapped it up for Christmas, opened it up. I was like, oh yeah, GTA 3, I got it. My mom saw it. She's like, what, an 18? No. And then she made my sister take it back and get a refund. And literally 2 weeks later, my dad took me to Argos and bought it for me. Didn't tell my mom.
Nice. Yeah. I might have said before on the podcast, but I was sort of lucky growing up. My parents were separated, so I lived primarily with my mom, and then I would go spend time with my dad. My mom would let me watch anything. She just was like, here you go, play it, whatever. My dad, not so much. So I remember one time someone gave me a load of games, and my dad had a little look through it. Well, my dad was sort of on and off like that. Like he would let me watch, films. He would let me watch like 18s and things like that. That was fine. I think it was games more because it was like he didn't know what they were, kind of thing.
Yeah, I guess he can't. He can watch a film with you, but he can't watch a game with you.
So I remember someone gave me a copy of Hitman, or like one of the early Hitman games.
Yeah.
And my dad was like, hell no, you're not playing that. So, yeah. Anyway, I think we have come to the end of another episode of Dude What Podcast. I feel really old now after going through all that. I mean, we're mid to late 20s now.
I think it'd be more shocking if, like, next time, I guess it could be another episode. It's a 10-year one.
Okay, yeah.
I think that because there's a lot of things 10 years ago you think are quite recent.
Yeah, true. Maybe we'll do that then. We'll do things that turn 10. I think this episode came around because I read an article about a few things that we know were turning 20, or a few movies, and I was like, oh God, really?
Yeah, it's
like
mad.
No way. I remember that pretty well. But yeah, I think we've come to the end of the episode. If there is anything you can think of that is turning 20 or turning 10 this year, send us an email, dudewutpodcast@gmail.com. You can also get in touch through speakpipe.com/dudewutpodcast. Leave us a voicemail and let us know what things are turning 20 and how you're feeling old. What would really help this podcast is if you go on whatever platform you're on and leave us a 5-star review. As I say, you don't have to say great things about it, just as long as you leave them stars. That'll be good. It helps it get pushed around and shared more. You can follow us on Instagram at DudeWutPodcast and Facebook. We're on there. We post every week. If you have some spare coins in your pocket, or you just really love this podcast, you want to help out massively, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/DudeWutPodcast, and you can donate a £1 on there towards the general running of the podcast, as long as you don't need it. Of course, if you need it, you keep it. It's your money.
I'll take it.
But yeah, I mean, me and Fee on the last episode were joking like, oh, it's all going to go towards a new computer. Because I desperately need a new computer. That's not a lie. Like, this computer is an absolute bag of shit. I turn it on, it genuinely takes half an hour to boot. I'm not even joking. It's like 25 to half an hour to boot. Yeah. I can't use it for anything other than the podcast because nothing else works on it. So, but yeah, buymeacoffee.com/DudeWutPodcast. Grizzo, it's been really fun having you on, man.
Yeah, man, it's been really good. Like, as always, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's been good to have a little bit of a reminisce. And yeah, I definitely feel old now.
Definitely. It is surprising, to be honest.
Yeah. We will be back this time next week. There'll be a fresh episode, and there will also, hopefully, fingers crossed, there's going to be a stream on Friday. I have been dying, I know Hamby has as well, been dying to play some Gears of War 5 Horde mode.
You still not played it?
We still haven't played it, man, because every single week something comes up and we can't get around to doing the live stream. But hopefully we will do it. Actually, before I go, speaking of live streams, a good friend of mine, Ash Penman, who hasn't been on the podcast yet, but he's been a fan since day one, he has started his own live stream on Twitch. It's called Cash N Puhaney, Puhaney, Cash and Puhaney. Two good mates playing some Pokemon and stuff like that. They stream on a Tuesday night at 7:30. So do them a favor, check out their stuff. Just before we go as well, we are coming up very fast on 1 year of DudeWutPodcast. We are also coming up on the 50th episode, so hopefully should have something special. I'm only mentioning it now because I can't remember the exact date that it started, so it could be in between this episode and the next episode we have our 1 year.
It's definitely pretty soon, because I remember coming on to do an episode just after my birthday at the start of June.
Yeah.
You've done a couple at that point.
I think you were on episode 3.
Yeah.
So it's coming around. It's coming around fast. Hopefully, I've got big plans, but I don't think it's gonna happen. But yeah. Anyway, everyone, we will see you next week. Take it easy. Stay safe. Bye bye.